Morning, beautiful friends and family, and anyone watching this video. I haven't done a video for a while. It's been quite a journey, as many of you know, for Sandra and I, and transitioning, moving from something that's been close to our heart for the last 9 years, the sanctuary, and transitioning to a new expression. And we're still, each day that unfolds in such a beautiful way. So I wanted to check in, just show you part of where we landed. This is where I go for walks most days, so I'll just turn the camera around. And you can see this beautiful beach. We're at the Pines Beach. And down there is the Banks Peninsula. There's Karaki down where the Waimak River comes out, and then it sort of goes all the way around. You can see there's hardly anybody on the beach, and then down there towards Wood End and up to Amberley and then up the coast. But what I really wanted to speak about, just excuse me while I sit down, just been for quite a walk, was about this morning. We had something land in our place today, the beautiful book Heart of the Protest, which is a significant piece of work in itself. So I encourage you, those of you that haven't already, to read it or to look into it. But as soon as I picked up the book, I felt it, and something triggered and activated inside of me, and I wasn't quite sure what that was. I felt this emotional thing, so I brought the book inside and I opened it up, and then I sat there in the chair, and I realized how much there was still something sitting within me that hadn't been spoken of. I had spoken of it amongst a few friends, and that close friends that I felt safe with. And so I passed the book to Sandra, and yeah, she too had this quite emotional reaction as she picked up the book and started to just look through it. There was this energetical, all of the stories, the told and the untold. So when I speak here, I'm not speaking from a side, a place, an opposition to. I don't choose to represent anybody apart from my own journey and what I've observed and experienced in life. It's no matter where you sat within it all, I still honor everybody, the decisions that you made. There was no right or wrong. So I choose today not to get into that so much, but to acknowledge that there's still, whether you call it the elephant or in the room or something that hasn't really given a voice. So today, and I spoke of it this morning with Sandra, and it just flowed out of me, something that I experienced on a personal level. And the part that I wanted to share, I've only shared it with 2 or 3 people, or even a handful of people, was what I experienced in the 5 years that I was in aged care. And at the end of it, and some of you may not know, I was mandated out of that, but that's not the point. Is what I experienced and saw and haven't spoken of is the aged care were the first really generational thing to start getting the vaccine. And within a short period of time, because I was still allowed to work during that period, I was given till December. But that aside, was within a week, I started to see people that I loved and cared about. You know, working in aged care really brought up this compassion, that I hadn't felt in such depth. And I had grown deep love and compassion for our elder people. And it really hurt me. It touched me deeply. And this morning it poured all out of me. That grief that I felt as I started to see people I loved and cared about. Within a short space of time, the deterioration of a lot of their, not everybody, but a good part of people that I loved and cared about, their mental, their emotional, but also their physical declining. And I haven't spoken of that before. I saw people that were coherent and happy and fairly healthy for old people, all of a sudden, and within a couple of weeks, some of them started dying. Right, I've got that out and I've spoken of it. But it's something that's sitting in there that I haven't spoken of. So part of the today of my desire to show up was not only to drop into that and the right or wrong, but it activated a deeper conversation with Sandra and I. But that was kind of an activation that I personally felt in such a big way. But also when I look out into the collective now, and there is just seemingly, COVID wasn't just one event. We've just had so many events after that the challenge that I find and many people find is how do we sit within all of that? It seems like one crisis has happened and then something else is coming on. And so I've been, since we've moved from the sanctuary, I've come to this beautiful space and this beautiful place of awareness. And I've been exploring not only how do we, but how do I manage all of that sits within us on a daily basis, in a daily way that we show up. And what I've been posting of late is, and it is helpful, is that stop. Like I get to do most days, and I'm grateful for that. And I know a lot of you maybe don't feel like you've got that time and that space, but I feel it's the most important thing that it's helped me to navigate my way through it. That stop, to acknowledge that yes, it is all happening and it is going on and the impact that it has on you. But I find that if I just let it too much in here and too much, not only in my thoughts, but in my emotional being, then it's really hard for me to then navigate life. So what works for me is to stop, to pause, not to bypass it, but to acknowledge it, that yeah, all the shit is going on. But within that shit, I believe that there is fertilizer. And if I can plant those seeds and anchor myself deep past through the shit into the earth, into nature, or into any form or sense of balance that I can, when I stop and pause, there's a part of me that is, and sometimes it's only like a little spark, but the more I give it attention, the more I bring it forward. It was like this morning when Sandra and I spoke of what was going on, not only with our activation or triggers around the book and what happened and that, but what is continually to happen. I started to sense and feel this, well, how the hell is it still going on? Who's still, and started getting into all of those thoughts. And I found myself once again wanting to get angry and fight and protest. It's funny how the algorithms of life happen. And Sandra showed another post from a beautiful man, Nicky Hamid, And I read his words, and he spoke about navigating that. And I realized that if I continue carrying it forward, all of this unhealed and unresolved, and it's not about hiding it, but it's about giving attention to another part of ourselves, that soul part, that deep within us, our spirit, a wairua, a mauriora, whatever you give it a name to, but that deep part of ourselves that is deeper than all of that. Because I know when I give that attention, something happened. And this morning it did happen. All of a sudden this energy, this golden light came in, and it went whew. And it didn't so much blow all that aside, but I felt more ease, more anchored, more at peace. And so those words anchored me deeper. So that's the invitation. And the words and the post went deeper than that. It went into how we navigate through life. And yes, all of this is going on, but if we give it our full attention, then we're not giving the attention to that which is trying to arise. So those seeds that are being planted, and the beautiful people around the world who are rising up and making a difference, who are making changes, the more we give them attention, and those seeds that we plant in our own garden, in our own hearts, the more that we give that attention, the more that it grows, the more that it manifests into reality. And then the algorithms continued. The beautiful post of, there's a group called the Order of the Hermetics, and James, a beautiful soul in that. And he posted about the men are rising now in this time, and yep, I hear a lot of people, and I've been one of those voices about time. But it's not just about men arising, it's about all of us arising. But this post, and Sandra shared it, this post spoke to about how do we arise. And for me, what arose is not just as a warrior fighting against the darkness. I mean, that shit's been going on for thousands of years, and blessed are those people that are still holding back that wave of negativity or darkness, whatever you want to call it, because yes, we do need to stand and face it and say, no, sorry, time out, no, not allowing you in our space. But I think it goes beyond more than that, is because if we spend all of our time in the fight and holding back that, we're still not giving the light to that what's arising. So within myself, it is arising, and this soul, this how to stand in, not just as a masculine power, but stand in our human power and our sovereignty, and how to stand up. And that power that doesn't try to control, but the power that stands in its balance. It stands within nature. It stands within all of life. Not a force of domination or any of control, but a force of love. And I'm not talking about fluffy duck kind of romanticize. I mean, that's beautiful in itself, but in love with a backbone. Love that stands in all of it. And it's not love that judges and says, hey, darkness, you got to sort your shit out, or those that are bypassing, standing the light. It's the light that embodies this new way of becoming, remembering who we truly are, these divine sovereign beings. It's one that doesn't get caught up in the, they call it illusions, but we feel it as a reality. But it's about a love that stands and becomes part of the creator, not the destroyer. A love that stands in this creator energy that flows in and creates a balance. A force that doesn't push in, that doesn't divide. A force that unites, that brings it all together. So today, for me, was a beautiful, wonderful, emotional time. And I felt to just share that. And I will continue to sharing what's alive in me and being part of this embodiment, this movement of not only a being, a masculine in this human form, but a soul coming through in its divinity and experiencing itself through humanity. So wow, yeah, that's been my morning. So I just wanted to give that all a voice and just invite you. And I just choose to stop speaking and just let nature speak for itself. As I feel the winds of change, you can see it blowing through the dunes, along the sand, and the beach, and the waves, and the ocean. That still continues to be influenced by the forces of nature, the moon, the tides. So that's what's alive for me today. I love you, and I invite you to stop, pause, breathe, and come home to yourself. Because as Ram Dass says, that's all we are doing, walking each other home. Love you.